Good afternoon, students. Today we're going to talk about box and whisker plots, specifically though dealing just with what we call quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. This will be this lesson right here under DD where it says quartiles. But a box and whisker plot, all it is it's taking a set of numbers, the first thing making sure they're written in ascending order from least to greatest. So I just took the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They don't have to be consecutive or anything, but I just did those as an example. Once the numbers are written in consecutive order, what we do is we first find the median being the middle number. That's actually quartile 2. Once we find that median, that middle number, since there was 9 numbers here, there's 4 below 5, and there's 4 numbers above 5, which makes 5 the middle number. There's just as many above it as there are below it. Again, and they are written in ascending order from least to greatest. That's quartile 2. Then what we do is we take the numbers below the median. So we don't include the median. We take the numbers below the median, which is just the 1, 2, 3, 4, and we find their middle number. And if there's an even number, the middle number is actually the average of the two middle. So be careful that if there's 2 middle numbers, we take the average, and that becomes quartile 1. So our quartile 1 is actually a number, 2.5, that's not even part of our listed numbers. So quartile 1, all of these numbers actually cannot even be part of our number set. As we come down here, you'll notice that the second quartile in this set down here, quartile 2, or the median, is 5.6. 5.6? 5.5. Wow, I can take the average of 2 numbers. 5.5. Not 5.6. But again, 5.5 is not even a number in our data set. So let's go back up to here again. So what we're doing basically is we're putting a quarter of the numbers in one group, which we call the lower quartile. So quartile 1 is often called the lower quartile. We put a fourth of the numbers in the next quartile, which ends at quartile 2. So that's the second quartile, but we always use that ending value for the second quartile. And then a third of the numbers will be in this quartile, which is quartile 3, which ends at 7.5. And then we have our fourth quartile, which basically ends at our maximum value, which is the end of what we call our whisker. It's our upper whisker. And this one down here is our lower whisker. In today's homework, you won't have to worry about the whiskers. All you're going to be finding is quartile 1, which is this middle number of the bottom half. Quartile 2, or the median, which is the middle of all the numbers, and quartile 3, or the upper quartile, which is the middle number of the top half. Now again, remember, a lot of times these numbers might not even be part of our data set, because if there is an even number of numbers, there is no middle number, and the median is the average of the 2 middle numbers. And the average of 5 and 6 is 5.5. Here, once again, when we calculate that upper quartile, do not include the median, but we do include every number above it. So since 5.5 is the median, I don't use that, but I do use the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which there's 5 numbers, which makes 8 the middle of that top half, and 8 is our upper quartile. Okay, so let's do some examples from the actual assignment. And the first ones will start out very, very easy. And the reason they start out easy is because they're already written for you in ascending order. So it makes it very simple to just quickly, in fact, I probably don't even need to write them down. What I can do is count the numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Since there's 10 numbers, I need 5 above, so I put my little pointer right in the middle. So then I look at it and I say, okay, there's 5 numbers below that pointer and 5 numbers above. So the median is the average of these 2 numbers, 6 and 8. Well, what's the average of 6 and 8? It would be 7. So our median or our second quartile is 7, but this is asking for our upper quartile. So since the median is in between, I'm going to take the 8 and all the numbers above, so the 8, 8, 8, 9, and 9, and I'm going to find their middle number. Since there's 5 numbers in the top half, I take the middle number, which is this 8, and the upper quartile is 8. So those should be pretty simple and straightforward because they're already written in ascending order from least to greatest. But when you get up higher, they're not going to be written in ascending order for you. So that one is, so I'm going to skip that one. And I'm going to go to here. These are not written in ascending order. That's when you need to make sure you have a piece of paper, and I would recommend writing them down on a piece of paper. Find your smallest number, 15.8. And yes, you will be dealing with decimals, and that's all right. 15.8 is my smallest number. The next number is my 33.6. So then I do 33.6. That was this number. Then I do the 48 is the next largest or smallest number, or moving up in ascending order. Then we have the 55. And then we have the 66. I always recommend once you've done this, I'm going to count the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over here I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have all the numbers. Now what do I do is I find my median. My median is my quartile 2. And then since, because there is an odd number, I do have a median. Now I don't include the median when I calculate my lower and upper quartile. So my upper quartile, which is what it's asking for, is going to be the middle of these two numbers. But since there's an even number, I actually going to take the average. So just grab your calculator and go 55 plus 66 divided by 2, because that's how you find average, right? So I grab my calculator, 55 plus 66 equals, make sure you hit equals, and that's 121, and I divide by 2, and I find out my upper quartile is 60.5. Again, it's the number that's right in between those two. And again, it can be a decimal, 60.5. And so again, writing these in order is probably going to be the most time-consuming part of this lesson. The lesson itself isn't very hard. It's just taking the time to go, all right, my smallest number is 10. And then keeping track. I've done that one. My next number would be, looks like 19, the one next to it. So I've done the 10 and the 19. Now I'm looking in the 20s. It looks like there's 129. And then I'm looking at 30s. It looks like there's a 32 and a 35. I think that's all the 30s there were. So now is there any 40s? I don't see any 40s. Any 50s? I got a 56. So it looks like 150, so a 56. Now I'm looking at the 60s. I have a 64 and a 68. 64, 68. I don't think I have any other 60s. I have a 70, and that looks like that's the only 70. And then I have an 88 and an 89. An 88 and an 89. Now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that how many numbers there were? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have all the numbers. Since there's 11 numbers, I know there's going to be 6 below the median. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's my median. Wait a minute. Not 6 below, 5 below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my median. I can cut 11 in half. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. And since it's looking for the lower quartile, I'm not going to include the median. I'm going to take these bottom 5 numbers and find the middle of that, which is 29. So I type in 29. Like I said, the hardest work is just putting them in order. And again, watch your decimals. I'm going to jump ahead because I want you to know that you're eventually going to get to one where it asks for all 3 like this. And again, the hardest part is just writing them in order. So let's see, what is the smallest number here? I see a 17. That's just 17. I don't see any other in the teens, in the 20s. I don't see any in the 20s, 30s. I don't see any in the 30s, 40s. I see a 40. I see a 49. And I don't see any other 40s, the 40 and the 49. So now I'm going to look in my 50s, see if there's any in the 50s. I don't see any in the 50s. Now I'm looking for the 60s. I got a 63, and that looks like the only in the 60s. Now I'm looking at the 70s. I have some in the 70s. I have a 76, a 79, a 79, and I don't see any others. So 76 is the smaller of the three, then the 79 and the 79. I'm looking at my 80s. I have an 80, and I don't think I see any other 80s. So now I'm looking at my 90s, and I have a 95, I have a 93, a 95, and a 97. A 93, a 95, and 97. Now I'm just going to make sure I've got them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it looks like I got all my numbers. Now it's asking for all of them. So again, since there's 11 numbers, I'm going to not make the same mistake I made above. There's 5 in the bottom half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is my median, or my quartile 2. And then I have 5 in the top half. So this is going to be my quartile 3, or my upper quartile. I have 5 in the bottom half, so that's going to be my quartile 1, or my lower quartile. So I come over here, my lower quartile is 49. My median is 79. And my upper quartile is 93. Luckily, I didn't have to find the average of any two numbers. This one came out to all be nice numbers in the data set. So here, again, this one will be a lot quicker than the previous ones because there's only a few numbers. There's only 4, 4, 6, 8, 9, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the median is going to be in between these two middle numbers since there's not an odd number here, odd number of numbers. So the average of 6 and 8 is going to be 7. Remember, you don't lose this, but we still use the 6 in the bottom half because you use every number below the median. So that's going to make a 4, the quartile 1. This was the median. And 8, 9, and 9 are in the top half, so a 9 is the quartile 3, or the upper quartile. Upper, lower, median. So again, I'm going to type in 4, 7, and 9. 4, 7, and 9. Now, if you're interested and you make it all the way to the 90s, it's going to ask for what's called the interquartile range. It's going to say, what is the interquartile range? I'm not requiring this, but just so you know what it is, in case you're interested, all the interquartile range is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. It's Q3 minus Q1. So the interquartile range for this data set would be 8 minus 3, or 5. So it's just the range, you know, the highest minus the lowest, but they're not doing the whole data set. They're just doing that inner range, that inner two quartiles. So that's why they call it the interquartile range, if you're interested. If you have any questions, please definitely contact me, and I will help you in any way I can.